You're listening to the Business and Life Podcast, where 7 days a week, proven entrepreneurs share their success stories, failures, and give you true value on how you can build a great business and an awesome life. With your host, Mike Olivas.
What's shaking, guys? Today I'm chatting with Erik Salzenstein, CEO of ERS Coaching. Erik is an online branding and business coach, as well as a TEDx and keynote speaker with his signature talk, From Prison to Purpose. All right, Erik, welcome to the show.
Appreciate you, Mike. Happy to be here, brother.
So tell our listeners something interesting about yourself and also where you're from.
Okay. Well, beyond what we're going to dive into today, because I think that's fairly interesting, right? But I got on stage as a bodybuilder in 2018. That was a great experience. Learned a lot about myself, and I'd say that was definitely an interesting time and interesting journey. So I'll go with that. And then I live in Orlando, Florida. So nice. Disney World and Universal's in my backyard. Yeah. I've been to Orlando. Love it. So are you from there originally? I was born in Maine.
Okay.
Bangor, Maine. I know nothing. I don't know anything about it. I moved to Orlando when I was a baby. So,
okay.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about your company. What does it do? What's the name of it? What kind of value does it bring to the marketplace?
Yeah, for sure. So ERS Coaching is the name, and I'm really focused on, I'm in the business of change. So as we dive into my story, you'll see my transformation and how that unfolded, and it's been quite a journey. And then since getting out, my first coaching business was in the fitness space. So it was like a hybrid of fitness and life coaching. I primarily worked with men and had success in it, and that was a lot of fun. And that's where I first dove into the entrepreneurial space. I went to my first workshop or retreat. It was Craig Valentine, the Perfect Life Retreat out in San Diego. And I fell in love. I was just like, okay, this is the world. This is where I'm supposed to be. And just slowly built that. And that was a lot of fun. And I was slowly getting the speaking going as well. And so that slowly gained traction. And so now I have transitioned to coaching, where the big hurdle for me when I first got in the space was, as a new coach, I didn't have the funds to join the mastermind or the accelerator. I just didn't have the 5K. Again, as we go into my story, you'll see I had no credit. You'll see why as we unpack that. But I had no credit, couldn't put anything on credit cards. So my big question to these big names, I remember asking Shanda Sumter. I remember asking Craig Valentine, Xander Fryer, Bedros. I said, what do I do? I'm brand new. How do I get in this thing? I don't have the money to drop. What do I do? And so getting all those responses back, fast forwarding to now, I'm really passionate in my coaching business, showing up for new coaches and new speakers. And I'm bridging the gap for them because it was such a challenge and hurdle for me. And if it wasn't for some key players that I had in my corner that allowed me to get in rooms at the time that I had no business being in, really accelerating and fast forwarding my growth, I definitely wouldn't be where I'm at today. So as a coach, I'm showing up for those new coaches, for new speakers, and giving them the foundational steps they need to really get clear on who they are, what their brand is, creating that brand, and then bringing it to the marketplace and monetizing it, right? So giving them the foundational steps that they need to get themselves out there, right? So that's my coaching business.
Nice.
And then the speaking business is just so much fun. That's where, it's my heart is really in that. I primarily speak to the youth, so middle and high schools, and I travel the country and I share my story. I have a signature talk titled "From Prison to Purpose."
Let's talk about that a little bit. That's one of the next questions, I think, as far as hitting rock bottom and how you were to overcome it. And I think that's definitely something that you might be able to definitely just jump into that question out of the gate there. So thank you. Yeah. Tell us a little bit about your story.
Yeah. So for me, entrepreneurial spirit from the get-go, selling candy and CDs in 6th grade, and doing my thing there. Then you get into high school and selling candy is really not cool anymore. So, So at that time, I was kind of experimenting with some weed and smoking a little bit with my friends. And my mindset was, hey, if we're going to go ahead and buy it, we're smoking it, I might as well be the one to have it. And so I started selling weed to just my friends. Had no intention of, creating this big, this business or whatever. But it took on a life of its own. And so eventually it just grew. And all through high school, I was selling weed. I was prescribed to Adderall as I had been diagnosed with ADD and ADHD at an early age. And so I was selling my medication. I was selling the weed. I was just all over the place. And this thing basically it just grew. I was selling to other high schools. I started getting kids underneath me selling. So I had like this mini MLM going on that I didn't even know. And yeah, so it basically got out of control. And then post high school, I'm 18 years old. This is 2009, 2008. We had a pill epidemic that swept through Florida. And there's quite a few documentaries that were on this. One of the big ones is the OxyContin Express. And we just had doctors overprescribing these pain medications. And you could basically, if you go to the right one, with a basic MRI, you can walk out of there with a goodie bag of painkillers, muscle relaxers, and, anti-anxiety medicine. And so someone approached me and said, hey, would you, they showed me the numbers and they made this offer to me and I jumped on it. And so I got into that world. And that's where things really took off. But then also that's where the devastation started. And so addiction, I became fully addicted to these pills once I started using them. And it was just this vicious cycle of my life revolved around my phone and answering calls and the dealing, and then the addiction fueling that. And everything hit the fan late 2012. And I was actually not arrested for selling the drugs. I was arrested for armed robbery and what the detectives labeled as a drug deal gone bad. And it was with another drug dealer. We had some problems. And so, my life came to a screeching halt. And in Florida, that crime is punishable by life. So now, my back's against the wall. I finally had to come face to face with the biggest enemy that I had up until that point, which was definitely myself. And man, that was a very scary time for me.
So you've been able to, after that, been able to kind of climb out of obviously a potential and or rock bottom kind of disastrous process there, man. Tell us a little bit how you were able to do that, Erik.
Yeah, for sure. So I remember wanting to change so bad. I remember this one call specifically. I was in county jail. They hadn't offered me a deal yet. I had this aha moment that day. And I remember calling my dad. I said, Pops, I said, listen, man, I don't know what they're going to give me. I don't know how much time I'm going to get, but I want you to know I really, really want to change. In fact, I want the exact amount of time that I need to change my life. Not a day earlier, not a day later. Whatever God wants me to do, that's the time I want. Yeah. And he's like, all right. He's like, all right, son, we're gonna get through this. And that was our first moment where we had hope for the future. And a couple months later, they offered me a plea deal of 4 years. The minimum you can get on that crime is 3. And so they offered me a year above the minimum, and we took it. And so a week later, I was on my way to prison, crammed on a bus with about 15 other inmates, all shackled up. And getting to this new world, if we look at that phone call, and here's the big thing, Mike, I had the intention of changing. I really did. But the problem was I didn't know how to create those changes. The same thing with business. You want to do this, you want to do that. But if you don't have the game plan, the blueprint, the coach to give it, you're just trial and error trying to figure it out. And so the first 6 months in prison, I completely wasted. I went back to the same behavior patterns I was doing on the street. I was smoking and selling cigarettes. I was glorifying my past. I was wearing it as a badge of honor. And that 6 months was basically I had gotten to a fight and I woke up, snapped out of it. And I was like, Erik, you're going to get hurt in here. I saw a dude got stabbed, like right in front of I'm like, Erik, you are going to really get hurt in here. Wake up, snap out of it. You're going to waste this entire 4 years. And so the thought came to me that I am not willing, and this is a question I'd ask our listeners right now, if 6 months from now or 1 year from now, if you're in the exact same place you are now, getting the same results, doing the same thing, feeling the same way, how are you going to feel? And that was the big question. That was that hit me. And so that's when I made the change. I reached out to my brother. He said, all right, we're going to turn this around. He sent me 2 books. He said, start by reading these, and then we're going to get on a coaching call every week after that. And that was when we put my game plan in place. And that's when things started to slowly but surely turn around and momentum started to gain. And yeah, that's where the transformation started, that 6-month mark.
Are you struggling to grow your business? Have you ever thought, man, I wish Mike could answer my specific questions about my business? Well, you're in luck, and I can help. Go to michaellevis.com and sign up to schedule a free live on-air call today. That's right. For a limited time, we're recording real business owners with real struggles. Awesome, man. So you've had the entrepreneurship journey, obviously different than Minnie's, but you've created that mess becomes a message technique that makes very much sense, and I love to see it, and obviously congratulate the heck out of you on your successes and being able to just come out of that, because we know that corrections, the Department of Corrections are literally the opposite of that when you're from a true level of like, are they correcting people? But it takes that choice, and it takes that like just willingness to be able to change, to do it, and you did. Why do you think, in your professional opinion, because you're working with other entrepreneurs now, right?
Yeah.
You're working with other people that want to not necessarily possibly change, but also just to be able to get their message out. Why do you think a lot of entrepreneurs out there, in your opinion, just quit?
Well, I think one thing that we deal with and you hear all about is that shiny object syndrome, right? And always looking for the quickest way, always looking for the next best thing. And that can be a real deterrent, because this thing, I mean, especially if you're building something of some substance, it takes time, and you got to be willing. Like the big thing is you got to enjoy the process. You got to embrace the suck, embrace the hurdle, embrace those challenges. So I think when all of a sudden the resistance comes, because I know this from a personal standpoint and a business standpoint, no matter what change you're trying to create, resistance is going to come, right?
Yep.
When you make a decision to lose the 10 pounds, 15 pounds, write the book, whatever it is, you're going to get hit with that resistance. And when you do, you have to prepare yourself for that. And you need to be ready for that, because if not, that's sure when okay, what else can I do? Because this is the sign that this isn't working. It's not a sign it's not working. It's a sign that you have to work harder to make it happen. So I think resistance is a big thing. The shiny object syndrome, just getting distracted and not staying true to your mission and what you want to do. And I think that's a big thing for as well. So yeah, those are two things that come up for me.
What are you excited about right now within your industry?
The possibilities out there. It's just what we're seeing right now is people are craving consciousness. They're craving change. They're craving development. And so, we're in this information age where it's you can go on YouTube and all the things, but now it's connection is happening on such a deeper level when we use social media the right way, not getting lost on social media, but actually using it as an outlet to connect with people. Oh, wow. I mean, the possibilities out there, it's huge. And at the end of the day, what I tell all my clients, and this is like a big moment for them, is that people are not buying programs, they're buying coaches. So you think that it's an oversaturated market, but the thing is that you have a unique story, you have a unique message. The way that you share it, even though the weight loss that you're selling is the same as the weight loss someone else is selling, but the difference is you as a coach, why you're passionate about it, the things you're doing in it, right? It's you that makes it unique. And so when you hone in on that correct messaging, you show up in your authentic self, there's just so many people who are waiting for you and not the other coach. And so I would say possibilities, the endless possibilities are out there. I think the connection, like in networking and connecting, that's another big one for sure as well.
Yeah, no, someone in your space as well that also helps with other coaches and helps get the message out. Mentioned as well that he was excited about, and I'll share with you and also the listeners that there's so many more people now wanting to hit the stage, right? That want to share a message. And I think, obviously in our day and age with the social media world and the video world really as well, that there are some great messages. How do you feel like is every message different, or, do you help people make sure that it's unique, I guess?
Yeah, for sure. So I'll give you an example. I have an upcoming workshop in Reno, and I'm going to be speaking. There's about 2,000 attendees. They're all principals, activity directors, educators. And so I'm speaking. I was talking with another speaker who's been in this game for years, multiple six-figure earner, just an incredible speaker and an authority in the space. And what we were talking about is that these topics, every year, they're very similar topics. Like every once in a while, there's something brand new that comes out, but for the most part, they are regurgitated topics. What's different is the person presenting that topic and the story that they bring to the stage.
Yeah.
That's the big difference. So when these people hear my story, and even though I'm talking on topics that they've heard other speakers share in their last 10 years, 15 years, 5 years, whatever it is, they've been in that space. It's going to be very unique coming from me and my viewpoint and the stories attached to me at Erik Salzenstein. That's what's going to really stand out for them. So when I work with my clients, whether it's in the coaching space or speaking space, when I show them how to really hone in on their unique story and then bring that into their branding and how they show up in their space, that's what separates them. It's not it's the topics. It's them as a whole delivering those topics. And that's what allows them to stand out in the noisy space.
Erik, out of all your successes and of course failures, what's the one piece of parting advice that you'd give to the listeners today that are entrepreneurs and aspiring entrepreneurs?
Oh man, there's quite a few, but I'm going to go with I have on my whiteboard, stay in your own lane and keep your blinders on. And you can reverse that, keep your blinders on, stay in your own lane, however you want to word that. But those are two big things for me, because one of the things I battled with was that comparison syndrome, right? I'm not enough. He's already been doing it for much longer than me. Who am I to be in this space? All the things that come up for us. And I will preach all day long. Have your mentors, have your coaches that you're pulling from, have the people who are leading you in the right direction, who have your intentions, who are looking out for you. But what you have to also be careful is you don't over intake. You don't take into the point where you're like paralyzed because you're comparing yourself to everyone else in the space, and then you lose who you are. So it's like, I got to do it his way or her way and this way. That's the winning formula. And sure, take pieces that feel right, but don't lose your essence. Don't lose who you are as a coach, as a influencer, as a business owner, as whatever it is that you're doing. Don't lose your authentic self. You have to, that's again, going back to everything we were just saying, that's how you stand out. That's how you shine. So
I agree with that. That's definitely, being authentic, being organic is winning. Transparency is just winning the game today, because to be honest with you, in the world of Facebook, Instagram, IGTV, in the world of people jumping fences and taking pictures in front of jets, right? Like it's just going way bunk. There's so much fake it till you make it stuff out there that being organic and being real is going to win the game. So be yourself. Again, I want to find out I want to make sure people know where to find you here, Erik.
Yeah, absolutely. So last name is Salzenstein. And you can find me on Instagram there at Salzenstein, Facebook, Erik Salzenstein, LinkedIn, same thing, and website, same thing, eriksalzenstein.com. And I would just say this, if you're a new speaker, a new coach, and you're looking to, without breaking the bank, really fast tracking, if you have not hit your first 5K month on online business, if you haven't gotten your first paid speech, if you're struggling with putting together your talk, like you're new in the space, what I'd say is just send me a direct message on any of those platforms. Just reach out to me. I'm not here to sell you. I'm here to serve you. So at the end of the day, my thing is, let's make sure that we get clear on where you're at, and make sure that if and how I can actually show up for you and help you. But the biggest thing is whether it's me or somebody else, take action. Don't stay on the fence. Look to somebody who you connect with and resonate with, and just reach out. Send the DM and just say, hey, I'm just curious about, I'd like to get some more information, because you don't know where that's going to lead. And even if you don't sign up with the person, work with the person, that person may give you that little gem that just gives you that boost of confidence, that gives you that little momentum for you to take the next step. So again, whether it's me or someone else, definitely make the move. But it's awesome to connect with everybody here today. So
absolutely. Well, thank you so much for connecting with us and dropping the knowledge bombs and sharing your story today.
Appreciate you, Mike.
Life Nation, you got to remember that in order for things to change, you must change. And in order for things to get better, you must get better. You just got better by hanging out with me, Michael Libas, and the Business and Life Nation. So come back tomorrow, because I'm here dropping sound bombs 7 days a week, baby. If you'd like to subscribe, please do, so you can take action and execute. See you tomorrow.